Scott Agnes for the Indiana Fever clarifies that she will not be playing tomorrow, today, depending on when you see this video. Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham remain out and won't play Tuesday in Atlanta. I think that is a smart decision. Ari McDonald has been doing a great job steadying the ship, holding the fort down, getting the Indiana Fever back.
Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham have officially been ruled out for their matchup against the Atlanta Dream. And let me tell you, the Fever are feeling the heat. But hold up, there's a silver lining, and her name is Ari McDonald, who's stepping up in a major way and winning over fans left and right.
We want Ari McDonald on the Indiana Fever, right? We want her at all costs. I mean, previous to Ari McDonald jumping into the team, the Indiana Fever looked like one of the worst teams in the league, although I will give them grace for, kind of being thrown into the deep end and not having their chemistry developed, etc. But once Ari McDonald stepped on the court with the rest of the Indiana Fever, it was totally the difference maker. She has been the offensive playmaker that they were needing. She has the experience and the pacing, and she just fits in the system, and she fits in the culture.
All right, let's break this down. The Indiana Fever are in a tough spot right now. Their star guard, Caitlin Clark, and key free agent signee, Sophie Cunningham, are both sidelined for the game against the Atlanta Dream on June 10th, 2025. This news dropped like a bombshell, and it's got fans buzzing. But what's really turning heads is how Ari McDonald, the Fever's emergency hardship signee, is stepping up and stealing the show. We're going to unpack the injuries, Ari's impact.
I have some injury updates for Caitlin and Sophie. Coach Stephanie White does also seem to be back. But let's first talk about Ari McDonald. She was their hardship contract signing, and fans have been so impressed by Ari's play. She comes out with so much of a spark, so much energy, both on the offensive and the defensive side.
And what this means for the Fever moving forward, let's talk about why Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are out. According to multiple reports, including one from USA Today, Caitlin Clark is missing her 5th straight game due to a left quadriceps strain she suffered back on May 24th during a tough 90-88 loss to the New York Liberty. Ouch. Fever coach Stephanie White gave an update, saying Clark
cleared the right word. I mean, we're ready to start ramping back up and make sure, it's completely different when you're just doing one-on-one workouts and when you're out there in 5-on-5, getting up and down the floor, moving laterally. So she's been allowed to do some practicing.
Smart move, right? You don't want to rush a superstar like Clark back and risk a longer now.
So it's likely that when Sophie Cunningham would be back on the court would be the 14th, because I actually doubt that even Caitlin Clark would be on the court on the 14th. I mean, I think it's a possibility. I did not think it was a possibility or a probability, actually. I thought it was a possibility, but I did not think that it was a probability that Caitlin Clark would be in tomorrow's game on the 10th against the Atlanta Dream. But having Sophie Cunningham on the court on June 14th would give them the 10 players.
Sophie Cunningham's dealing with her own injury, woes. She's been battling a nagging right ankle injury that first popped up in the Fever's preseason finale against, you guessed it, the Atlanta Dream on May 10. She missed the first 2 games of the regular season, came back for a few, but then aggravated that same ankle on May 30th against the Connecticut Sun. Talk about bad luck.
Yeah, she was a little limited today. Again, it's seeing how they do in certain drills and certain actions. Getting them back into game condition. Again, this is an injury that she's aggravated a few times now this season, so making sure we're playing the long game and doing it the right way.
Both Clark and Cunningham out, the Fever's backcourt has been stretched thin. They were down to just 8 healthy players at one point, which is below the WNBA's minimum roster requirement of 10.
WNBA's roster, she must be released once they return to 10 healthy players. The only road to keeping her is by cutting a current player on an unprotected contract and waiting 10 days to bring her back on board. There's the option of waiting until later in the season when they have the salary cap space.
That's where the league's emergency hardship exception comes in, and it's why Ari McDonald is now in the spotlight. Let's talk about her. Ari McDonald is the name on everyone's lips right now, and for good reason. The Fever signed her on June 1st under the WNBA's hardship rule, after Clark, Cunningham, and even Sydney Colson went down with injuries. McDonald, a former number. 3rd overall pick by the Atlanta Dream in the 2021 WNBA draft, has been a game changer. In just 2 games with the Fever, she's averaging 9.5 points, 3.5 assists, and 26 minutes per game. Not bad for someone who was waived by the LA Sparks in April and didn't know if she'd get another shot this. In her debut against the Washington Mystics, Ari dropped 7 points, 5 assists, and 3 steals while drawing 3 offensive fouls. Talk about hustle. Then, in the Fever's blowout 79-52 win over the Chicago Sky on June 8th, she came off the bench with 12 points, helping the team snap a 3-game losing streak. Her plus-minus of plus 12.5 is the highest on the Fever and among the best in the league, trailing only players from the undefeated Minnesota Lynx and New York Liberty. This woman is balling, and it's not just the stats. Ari's bringing energy, defense, and playmaking that's got her teammates hyped.
Seems like Ari McDonald is really proving herself. She is there to work hard. She brings the energy. She does a great job taking care of the ball, playing that point guard position when she needs to. But then on the defensive end is honestly where I was most, impressed by her.
Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hull, and even Sophie Cunningham herself showed love for Ari's Instagram post where she wrote, "God's plan, my plan, the Ma 4 Pops." Cunningham commented, "We love this," and Caitlin Clark called her performance tremendous. The vibes are high with Ari in the mix, and fans are eating it. But here's where things get tricky. The WNBA's hardship rule means Ari McDonald's contract is temporary.
Keep Ari on the team. So right now they are capped out at the amount of players that they are allowed to have on their team based on their cap space and some other factors. And so for them to sign Ari, firstly, they would need to cut somebody. And even if they cut somebody today, they still cannot sign Ari to her contract to start today. They have to wait 10 days in order to sign her.
Once Clark or Cunningham returns, bringing the Fever's roster back to 10 healthy players, they'll have to cut Ari to comply with league rules. Yeah, you heard that right. Cut her. According to her hoop stats, that could happen as early as the Atlanta Dream game on June 10th, if either Clark or Cunningham is cleared to play. And let me tell you, Fever fans are not happy about Ari's being so good that the Fever might have to make some tough decisions. Sportskeeda reports that 4 players on unprotected contracts, including veteran forward center Stephanie Turner, could be on the chopping block to keep Ari long-term. Turner's only averaging 0.6 points and 1.0 rebounds in 5.4 minutes per game. So
now a lot of fans are calling for the Indiana Fever to cut Brianna Turner because she has not played many minutes in any of the games this season. And when she is on the floor, she doesn't seem to contribute too much.
Ari's energy and production might make her too valuable to let go. There's even talk that a Cunningham-McDonald duo off the bench could be electric for Coach Stephanie White's squad. What do you think? Should the Fever find a way to keep Ari? Let's check the pulse of the fans because X is blowing up with reactions to this news. One post from @PTPT said, "No Caitlin, no Sophie Cunningham, and emergency replacement Ari McDonald against the Sky, and she's not even on the permanent roster. The Sky are legit terrible. Harsh but real." Another user at Sahali2012 confirmed that both Clark and Cunningham are out for the Dream game, even though they practiced with the team. And it's Megan L. Hall dropped the official status report.
Talk about Sophie and Caitlin. Both of them were in practice today. That is the first that we have seen video footage of them doing certain things in practice. And Coach Stephanie White was interviewed about their injuries after practice because on the WNBA's website, it said that Caitlin Clark and Sophie were both game time decisions for tomorrow's game.
Caitlin Clark, out with a quad injury, Sophie Cunningham, out with an ankle injury. Fans are also hyping up Ari's impact. Her God's Plan post got love from teammates and supporters alike, with comments pouring in about her energy and fit with the Fever. But the looming possibility of losing her has some fans stressed. One post on X called it a tough blow for Indiana fans who are just starting to vibe with Ari's game. On the flip side, Clark and Cunningham are getting tons of support too. Lexi Hull trolled Sophie about her chipped tooth, but also dropped heart emojis to show love, while Caitlin's been resharing posts and cheering from the sidelines. The Fever squad is tight, and it's awesome to owe, and let's not forget the fashion moment. Even though they're injured, Clark and Cunningham showed up to the Chicago Sky game in some fire outfits. Caitlin rocked a brown two-piece set, and Sophie turned heads with a sheer top, black shorts, and a blazer. Fans on X and TikTok went wild, with one calling Sophie turbo hot and another saying she could ruin my life. Gotta love the Fever's style game, even on the So. What's the outlook for the Fever? They're sitting at 4-4, holding their own despite the injury bug. That win over the Sky was huge, with Kelsey Mitchell dropping 17 points, Natasha Howard adding 13, and Ari McDonald and Aaliyah Boston chipping in double figures.
A lot of players got involved. Kelsey Mitchell is back on track. Aaliyah Boston has been great all season. Good performance from Natasha Howard. They continue to get production from Ari McDonald since she came over. Really, there's nothing to complain about.
They're just one game behind the Atlanta Dream in the standings, so this matchup on June 10th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern is a big one, even without Clark and the good news. Both Clark and Cunningham are getting closer to a return. They were limited in practice, but they're on the comeback trail. Coach White's all about making sure they're 100% before they play, which could mean we see them back as early as the next game after Atlanta. But with Ari McDonald balling out, the Fever have a spark to keep them in playoff contention. The question is, can they keep this momentum going? And will they find a way to hold on to Ari? Let us know your predictions in the comments. Alright y'all, that's the latest on the Indiana Fever's injury saga and Ari McDonald's rise to the occasion. Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are out for now, but Ari's proving she's got what it takes to shine in the WNBA. This team's got heart, and we can't wait to see what's next. What do you think? Can the Fever keep Ari McDonald on the roster, or will they stick with their original lineup? Drop your hot takes below, and let's get this conversation going.